Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Village People. In this video, as per the most recent vote, we're going to take a look at the Gelkin. In this video, we'll look at the Gelkin's history, their culture, and just what sets them apart from the other races within D&D already. Then we'll kind of explore how you might use them within your game. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Gelkin. The Gelkin are a relatively new race on the world stage. Many would speculate that the Gelkin are the result of a magical experimentation using reptilian subjects. While smaller than these lizard folk counterparts, they are far less ferocious than these kind of full lizard folk kin. The Gelkin have gained a reputation for being a peaceful people that would more often than not flee from their attacker than stand and fight. The Gelkin, due to their relatively high intellect, higher than the average reptilian, as well as their endearing nature and cute appearance, have otherwise become adept assistants to mages and scholars alike. Much of the Gelkin lifestyle revolves around observation and flight should it be necessary, and this has led to two very distinct groups of Gelkin becoming more prominent on the world stage. But let's take a look at their individual cultures. Gelkin live in family-organized clans that are focused around the support of a handful of different family community groups. Being small in physical stature, Gelkin are vulnerable to a wide variety of threats, leaving their communities to be well-knit groups that rely on the support of older and wiser scouts and sentries that defend the rest of the clan. If a threat is spotted by one of the sentries, their warning spreads rapidly throughout the community as each member flees to their own hiding places. Each of these relatively small communities, therefore, tend to settle into one location, seldom leaving this home after many generations. This allows for the Gelkin to become very closely attached to the land of their ancestral home, with many of them learning how to manage their limited territory and their ability to remain hidden within that territory from the average passerby. Many Gelkin clan territories are so well hidden and defended by their sentries that the average traveler can walk straight through the central hub of Gelkin society and never really even know it. When many of these Gelkin clans settle in close enough proximity, they behave similarly to trading villages of the larger races, working together as independent entities but sharing resources and organizing politically based marriages within each clan to bolster their bond. The two individual types of Gelkin that have become more prominent have developed each on their own separate cultures that have become significantly different from each other, though through lines do remain. Arboreal Gelkin have adapted to life in the forests and jungles of the world, becoming well adapted to life within their green homes. Arboreal Gelkin tend to dig their homes carefully into the wood of living trees, carefully enough that the tree itself does not die, simply housing them for the length of their stay there. Carefully navigating branches, they live a life where they may never ever need to touch the ground. Terrestrial Gelkin have adapted to life on the ground, however. Typically in deserts and badlands, they dig complicated burrows where an entire community can live without fear of discovery. These Gelkin often spend much of their time hunting on the surface of their very limited territory or harvesting hardy plants and cacti that they cultivate as food sources. Regardless of which subrace option you choose, you do gain the benefits of being a Gelkin. Gelkin have the ability to kind of address the problem that small races have. They have a movement speed of 30 feet, they have some unique ability score increases to reflect their heightened intelligence and role within the community, and they're proficient within stealth and nature checks, just because that's how their system of society tends to work. They also have a very unique trait called a quick getaway. Basically, they can drop their tail as a distraction when they're attacked to try to avoid being attacked, and then quick getaway. This is kind of their last minute ripcord to break out and escape from danger should it get too close. From there, let's take a look at some of the sub-race options in greater depth. Terrestrial Gelkin are Gelkin that are defined by their life on the ground. They're reliant on quick wit and skills for observation to be able to survive. kind of open desert bedlands, they have to be very aware of everything that's going on. They tend to be just a little bit faster than their arboreal cousins due to the danger that exposure on this surface world ends up posing. And the most prolific of these kinds of Gelkin tend to become adept treasure hunters, traversing some of the harshest landscapes to bring back relics from long-lost ruins. As a terrestrial Gelkin, you do have a little bit faster walking speed. You can, as opposed to the 30 feet that a normal Gelkin will be able to walk, you have a movement speed of 40 feet, and you gain a burrowing speed of 20 feet. This is reflecting kind of your enhanced speed on the surface, but also the ability for you to tunnel and build burrows that make your community a home. Otherwise, you're also proficient with navigator's tools and with the perception skill. Basically, this is kind of indicative of terrestrial Gelkins living within desert and harsh landscapes like the Badlands or other kind of rough territories. Imagine being a lizard out in the desert on a sand dune and you potentially have no idea where you are. Except for that this is your home, and so of course you know where you are. You know, they tend to be able to navigate and have some semblance of actual travel, of informed travel, and so they're able to take that additional step by being adept explorers should it become necessary. Though Gelkin tend to remain within their ancestral home, they do end up scouting for different resources, and so a terrestrial Gelkin clan might be reliant on smaller groups of Gelkin scouts that go out to find resources. They do cultivate hardy plants like cacti, and if they aren't immediately on top of the surface, they have to go and find the kind of surface-dwelling plants so that they can remain, for the most part, fed and taken care of. The arboreal Gelkin that live within the trees tend to succeed in their lifestyle by keeping their distance from their enemies and having specific deterrents. They tend to be a little bit more calculating and strategic when it comes to their own defense than their terrestrial Gelkin cousins, but they're not any more combative than them. Their strategic nature allows them to use this arboreal home to their advantage, setting traps and basically home-aloning anybody that wants to get too close to their home. As an arboreal Gelkin, you do have a little bit better enhanced movement based off of a climbing speed of 30 feet. Being used to traveling and living within treetops, it's outside, not outside of the realm of reality for you to be comfortable scrambling around, climbing up and down all day long. So these Gelkin have gained the ability to climb very, very easily. And in addition, in the interest of keeping their distance, they gain a special attack ability. They gain a tongue lash ability that allows them to fire off their long tongue as kind of a special melee attack that has the reach property. You can do a little bit of damage, and the damage scales with your level. You can choose to use either your strength or your dexterity, but this is kind of a means of attack as a deterrent from a larger distance away from most things. All you really need to do is have a number of these things hitting you from all sides with these tongue attacks, and it ends up kind of being a strong enough deterrent. And that's how arboreal Gelkin tend to survive, is not only do they have traps to weaken and try to send a signal that deters most predators or other explorers, but they are fully capable of also being a deterrent in and of themselves by hiding within the leaves of the trees and staying well hidden and taken care of from a safety perspective, and just absolutely pelting something until it leaves. Picture almost a squirrel throwing nuts down at something to try to get it to leave its territory. If you were to use Gelkin within your game, what I would suggest is to either have them as a small reclusive tribe that has some sort of a secret or has been living on or around a tomb or a temple. These kind of lizard folk type races, being different than others, can tend to be a little bit more reclusive but very attached to their homeland territory. So this very attachment to homeland territory can play in very easily as an NPC if this territory happens to be a temple. Picture an arboreal Gelkin community or a terrestrial Gelkin community living on some sort of an old ziggurat, prepared to live there for the rest of their days as far as they know, except for that now there's also the villain needs to actually use the ziggurat for some sort of a powerful magical spell that will end up killing this entire community, and now the party has to decide if they can try to get them to relocate, or do they care about trying to get them to relocate? Do they just stop the villain and maybe fail, in which case this entire culture is wiped off the face of the earth based on the spell that takes place? Those are some of the options that I would recommend for Gelkin within kind of your game. Check the link in the description for the Google document that has the details for the Gelkin in greater kind of detail, with the different ability score increases and other traits that you have as a Gelkin, as a playable race, and sort of the details from history and culture as well. In addition, take a look back down there while you're looking for that document for the poll that's for the next video. Vote in that poll and let me know if you want to see the Nephilim, or the Cyclopeans, or the Sirens as the next homebrew playable race. As a brief rundown, the Nephilim are half angel, half demons, torn by the duality of their being. Cyclopeans are the more humanoid level descendants of the terrifying Cyclops, one giant eye and plenty of anger to hold themselves through. And then Sirens are the playable race version of actual mermaids, should you be interested in that kind of an option within your gameplay. So, vote in the poll, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!